They say variety is the spice of life, and I agree. Therefore, it is time, I think, for another inbox review. Bam, da-da-dam, bam, bam, drum roll. This just arrived this morning, quite early this morning, as it were, by the post office, although Max did interpret that as another attempt by the post office to murder the entire family. Typhoon going past. And it is this one, the new release from Trumpeter, their 1/48 scale Westland Whirlwind. Very kindly supplied yet again by Jim Starkweather at the Kit Maker Network. So thank you very much again for supplying this kit for me to review and build. I thought I heard another one approaching, but interesting little thing, the Whirlwind. I didn't realise it was actually withdrawn from service before the end of the war. I didn't realise it didn't see the war out, as it were. And it's always struck me as an odd looking little thing, as if the engines belie the sort of the overall. It should be bigger. You know, I mean, these are two Merlin Peregrine engines, and like the Mosquito, seems, the fuselage of the Mosquito seems in proportion to the size of the engines. This one seems to be a little bit like it would be whoa because of the size of the engine. Well, I mean, it was a very fast aircraft, but anyway, enough of that. The important thing is, let's have a look, see what comes inside the cardboard, shall we? Okay, so first off, we've got what appears to be an incredibly sturdy box from Trumpeter, corrugated cardboard, inside section as well, so, you know, very, very rigid, which means your kit will arrive safely in one piece. Well, not in one piece, that wouldn't be much fun, would it? But in, well, according to this, 70 pieces that go together to make up this kit, so that's not too bad. But yeah, very, very sturdy, so that'll protect everything. I've sliced open the bag so that you don't have to sit and watch me do that, but let's have a look at the plastic, shall we? This is the wing section. Quite an impressive wingspan, to say the least. This will build into, as I say, quite an impressive looking little thing once it's sitting on the table. Surface detail is lovely and restrained. Nice, very, very fine, delicate panel lines with their resident rivets as well, all recessed. Has a lovely satin texture, which is good for paint adhesion as well. The paint likes this and it just sucks in nicely. The upper wings have, I don't know how many panel lines. I mean, I don't know if you can add to this, if you wanted to rescribe additional panel lines and rivets. I'm just completely unfamiliar with the Whirlwind in that regard. But what we have is very, very nice, as I say, and restrained. Fuel cap covers, presumably an access area for the fuel tanks. Obviously no gun bays because the guns are up front at the front of the fuselage, but very, very nice. I like also the fact that it's in a nice neutral grey. Lots of locator pins, which is nice. Shows that the kit's been well designed, thought out. Fuselage, again, some lovely, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, certainly not from that distance, but if I bring it up close, once the camera eventually gets focused on it, if I just rotate it around, the light on the barrel of the fuselage might show you the detail. As I say, it's very, very finely engraved, to the extent that I'm actually having trouble seeing it with my own eyes. Oh, now there's an interesting thing, look at that. The tail wheel covers are moulded in place, open. Now that's the first time I've ever seen that. See on the other one there. Oh, and there's another thing, they've moulded the pitot tube on top of the vertical stabilizer, the tail fin. Why they've chosen to do that I don't know, because it's very, very, very delicate. You can see there on the other fin the little notch, because it's a one piece, so it sits proud of this side as well, so that obviously fits into that notch. Why they've decided that that would be a good idea to put on, especially where it's positioned, because there's no way that's going to survive the build without getting knocked off. So I might actually just pare that off and just... I usually build the pitot tubes out of aluminium tubing anyway, but I think I definitely will remove this because it's going to get snapped off. Detail, I think that's the cockpit sidewalls. Maybe a little heavy moulding, but again I'm unfamiliar with the Whirlwind, so that might be quite accurate. There's the cockpit floor, that's quite nicely done as well. I mean, I suppose once it's all closed up, that's the thing with cockpits. I mean, you can go to town detailing them with cabling and photo etch, but once they're closed up, you're generally hard pressed to see anything. So I think that might build up into quite a complicated little office. The seat looks quite nice as well, reasonably thin. Here comes another Typhoon. Let's have a look. Here's the engines and wheel wells. Again, lovely. Same restrained detailing on there. Each panel line has its own sets of rivets either side, which will look nice with a nice subtle wash in them. Again, obviously it's a new tooling, so I'm not seeing any flash whatsoever. What I am seeing a lot of, and I noticed this on the other one as well, is a lot of ejector pin studs. For example, I think this is part of the bomb rack. You can see here lots of little additional studs. Again here, studs, studs, stud, stud, and again on the wheel well covers, studs either side. Now, I think the reason for that is to prevent having any ejector pin marks on the actual part, which is a good thing, because it's a nightmare if you get a recessed ejector pin mark somewhere that's visible and you have to fill this very, very, very thin cylindrical indentation, or remove a raised pin mark as well. So all this means is we now have more contact points to clean up. But you know what, I think that's maybe a small price to pay for pin-free surface detail. I did actually notice on this sprue, the fuselage sprue, I think this is the part that goes behind the pilot's chair, and it does have what appears to, I don't know, again, hopefully the camera will pick up, a circular detail in there. I don't know if that's an ejector pin mark or whether that's supposed to be there, but again, because I'm unfamiliar with the Whirlwind, but I dare say we'll find out. And the last of the grey sprues is the propellers, the propeller hubs, gun barrels, which aren't drilled out, or the muzzles aren't sort of recessed, as it were, but at 1/48 scale it shouldn't be too difficult to get start with a 0.3mm drill down the centre there and open them up. Propellers look nice and crisp and lovely jubbly. Yeah, okay, and the clear part comes, I'll pop this open, very well packaged with foam wrapped around it, and indeed the clear parts look excellent. Some rivet detail, hopefully maybe you'll be able to see that, rivet detail on the framework, and only two connector points there that will be easy enough to, sprue gates I should say, they'll be easy enough to remove. I typically use one of these razor blade saws, which are for clear parts anyway, I would say is almost essential, because you're not putting any pressure on the plastic, so there's no chance of getting some kind of stress fracture running along the glass, so it's, or the plastic as it were. But yeah, these look very nice. not much in the way of lens. You will obviously get some lensing because it's a curved piece of plastic, so there'll be the light refracts, and I can see the writing underneath absolutely perfectly. So there's no distortion in that regard. But two parts. I noticed we're not getting any wing lights or navigation lights or anything like that, so we can maybe do something about that ourselves. I'll put them back in their bag just to keep them safe. Let's have a look at the instructions, shall we? Typical Trumpeter format, A4 stapled booklet, which is good, means you don't start losing inserts and whatnot. And as I would imagine, there's the parts list, and nothing's blacked out, so we're obviously using every single thing that comes with a kit, which is fine. I don't mind that. Cockpit does look fairly straightforward, not an awful lot of parts as we saw, but I do like that with the sidewalls. I like a cockpit sort of unit that then fits inside the fuselage. I always quite prefer that, because I always think it's a lot easier to assemble if you have just this one thing that sticks into the fuselage and the other fuselage comes up to match. Whereas if you've got cockpit floors and bulkheads that then have to line up with other markers on the other fuselage half, it can be quite tricky. So I do prefer that. Wheel wells look fairly straightforward. With a wash, that'll come out, that'll look quite a nicely fussy inside. Yeah, so we obviously would do them second and third, and then wow, there's a lot of white, isn't there? Look at this. Not an awful lot to it. I mean, it'll be once you get the cockpit and the engines and the wheel wells done, this will be a fairly rapid build, I would think. And a point to note, there's the little section that goes behind the pilot's seat, and from the drawing here it does appear to have a little bit of circular detail, so that's not an ejector pin mark, so that's nice. Again, lots of white, what, 8 steps in total, but I mean part 6 is just plonk plonk and that's it. And 7, I mean I really don't even need to explain this to you, because you can see clearly what is actually happening. Yeah, fairly straightforward, doesn't look like it would pose a problem. It would be quite a good kit for beginners, I would think. I would imagine there won't be any fit issues with it being a new tooling from somebody the likes of Trumpeter, and because there's not an awful lot of intricate parts and fairly simple instructions, I would certainly recommend this to someone who's just starting out. Here's the decals, very very glossy. I'll see if I can try and get the light there to, if I bring it up closer you probably see the difference between the decal and the backing paper. Very glossy, but in saying that, they do look incredibly thin, so I suppose that will work okay. They'll hopefully bed down nicely, and then with a satin or matte coat over the top, that should get rid of this sheen, as it were. The decal for the instrument panel, again, I'll try and get the light to reflect on it. There we go, there. Has a lot of excess carrier film, which makes it kind of difficult for sucking down into the dial detail, as it were. And I noticed these little checkerboard decals which go on the tailplane, or the tail, this kind of finial thing. They have a bit of carrier film around them as well, which will make, when you're trying to fit a decal to a contoured surface, you really want it to be decal and nothing else. If there's any carrier film that hangs over the edge or has to overlap, it can make things a wee bit tricky. But I suppose you could just drag a nice sharp scalpel blade around there, and here we go again. Busy today. And that would solve that problem. But here's the painting and marking guides. This is marking version A, the grey-green, which it does look nice actually. It has the light gull grey underside, and of course the ocean grey and the dark green. Is it called ocean grey? Can't remember. Anyway, dark green and dark grey on top. Or there's this version, which is, as I say, I think I might go for this one. Which is the dark earth. Again, still with a light gull grey underneath. Yeah. and colour callouts in Mr. Hobby, Vallejo, Model Master, Tamiya and Humbrol. So you're pretty much covered there, whatever paints you prefer to use. Other than that, what else is in the box? Some other Trumpeter stuff, advertising the Whirlwind, a Russian T-80, the USS Indianapolis, some guns, and another big tank thing, type thing. 100% new tooling, comes with photo etch, but anyway. So there we go, it looks quite an impressive little kit. Quite looking forward to getting started on this one. Which I think I will do so in fairly short order. I'll rebag them later, but yeah, nice little kit. And once again, thank you to Jim Starkweather of Kitmaker Network for supplying this for me to review for you. And here comes another Typhoon, and obviously build for you as well. So we'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much. Oh, shut up.